It was a long night. I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning. I didn't want to get up this morning. I pulled a double. Well, I'm a nurse. Been in it for 20 years now. Love the job. I love helping people. That's what I know I can do best. And last night was a rough one for me. You see, I take care of people who are mentally, well, I guess you can say mentally, but medically, terminally ill. And many of these people do end up having mental disorders, such as depression and anxiety. Some people look like they're going crazy because they feel like they're inhibited. They can't leave. And last night was no different. Miss Willie, taking care of her for about 3 months now. I work at a hospital where the average stay is about 3 months. Because again, I said that these people, these precious individual souls, they're dying. And many of them have terminal illnesses that are incurable. So Miss Willie, I've known her for about five months because she came into our clinic and she was admitted in the hospital 3 months ago. Well, she died last night. And it's hitting me hard. Very hard. I've gotten to know her family and spent a lot of time with them last night. It was rough. It was one of my rough cases. But after any day, I come home and get home late and check on the kids and see if their homework is done. And so my daughter, teenager, 13 years old, that's my heart. She looks just like me. But she's been going through these mood changes lately where her hormones are just all over the place and kind of disrespecting me lately. When I say no and she gets an attitude and it results in her being punished. And then he's in 3rd grade and doing well. But, he demands a lot of attention. Because I think he has some type of attention deficit going on and is constantly getting into trouble at school. So that, of course, that interferes with my job. Then it's my husband, Jimmy. Jimmy and I have been married for about 32 years now. And he's a good man when he wants to be. But he abuses me. And, I'm dealing with that. Not as bad as my father, but, without the alcohol, Jimmy can be a kind soul and very good natured. So, I'm dealing with a lot. And, times are rough. I wake up every morning like this morning, look at myself in the mirror and think, why me? How do I make it? Demanding on my job, demanding at home. I'm demanding on myself. I put up with a lot. I thought I was going to marry a guy that was just the opposite of my father. Yet he's worse. And I feel trapped. Very trapped. I didn't want to bring kids into this relationship, and we have 2 beautiful children. I don't know what to do. My girlfriend tells me that I should see somebody. That's all. I don't want to see no shrink. What can a shrink do for me? All they gonna do is judge me. I tell them all my business. They probably speak among themselves, the other therapist, that is. Then she said a psychiatrist, because I may need medication. Nah, I don't want anything that's going to alter how I think. I think just fine. My thoughts are very clear. I know what's going on. Those medications not going to make me change. They're not going to get me out of this situation. I hear a lot of these medicines make you crazy, more crazy than you think you are. So why would I do that? My mom was heavily medicated, and all she did was just sit there. Sit there and watch my father scream at me. Sit there and watch my father belittle me from bringing home a low B. I was on an honor roll. I tried my hardest. It was hard. But yeah, I don't want that stuff. What I I try to do when I'm not working is I go to church. And church has been great. But my husband, he goes with me. And I'm happy for that. I would hope that church will help him just like it's helping me. Because when I'm in church, all of my problems go away. I focus on the message. I hear the beautiful music. And then it's right back home. And it starts all over again. I pray every day. I'm wondering if the Lord hears my prayer. I don't know how he's going to get me out of this. But I've gotten this far, and I'm grateful for it. It could be worse. And I know prayer changes things. The Lord has shown himself throughout my life. All my successes. Sometimes it's just, something's missing though. And it's those times when it's late at night and I'm up alone. I have those thoughts, Those thoughts of, how am I going to make it? Those thoughts of, I don't want to be who I am. Wish that the Lord had blessed me and being somebody else. I don't know what to do with those thoughts. And it's very hard. Because I wear a smile on my face and no one knows. No one knows I have these thoughts. They put me up in the hospital. Gets my will. I don't want to be there. That's what they did with my mama. Those are scary thoughts to have. I haven't done anything though. Just have thoughts. So it's not severe. They're mild, I just don't know what to do. Disclaimer, the information on this Facebook Live event is provided for informational and encouragement purposes only, and is not a substitute for personal, professional medical advice. The information I discuss can be referenced to reliable resources such as medical journals and actual studies. Should you request a copy, I will provide them on my website. Encourage you to discuss them further with your doctor. Information will also include my professional experience as a double-boarded child and adolescent and adult psychiatrist, of which I've managed the depression of individuals within my patient population. However, by law and the Hippocratic Oath, I respect the individuals within my patient population and recognize the great importance of protecting information. Accordingly, my policy is to never disclose any personal information during any of my discussions for any reason whatsoever. You should not use this information during my discussion for diagnosing or treating mental or medical conditions. At the end of my discussion, I will provide you with resources that you can use should you need help or know someone who does. Good afternoon, you all. Welcome. My name is Dr. Brown, newly known as Dr. Dawn, Psych MD. This is a laid-back discussion about a major disorder, the most common disorder in our global society, depression. And when I thought about doing a monologue, I'm not an actor, I'm not an actress, as you can see. You can never act out something like depression. It's something that I describe as a heavy coat, a burden. distorted vision, like you have goggles on and it's hard to see through. It's hard to look through the future. Depression is something that I oftentimes feel walk into my office. It's that severe. It could be that severe. And it's something that I see day in and day out on TV, by talking to friends and family, and just witnessing other people engage. Everyone deals with depression at some point in their life. Everyone is affected. And I feel it's my mission. Part of my mission is to change and improve lives by dispelling myths, destigmatizing mental illness through awareness and education. And today, in consecutive weeks, my mission is to educate whoever's willing to listen about depression. The World Health Organization has estimated that 350 million individuals in our society are living and suffering from depression. Now, those are those only that are diagnosed. So imagine the masses that are living with depression and not even aware. Depression is something that can creep up, very, very subtly. It can be gradual in its occurrence, or it can be very acute. It can make a difference in a person's life by changing overnight how they act, their behaviors, their circumstances. It could be triggered by various things that we deal with on a daily basis. It can be something that is exacerbated, made worse by job loss, anxiety, or just how a person's being treated. It contains certain symptoms that can be quite severe. Severe enough where a person even thinks about losing their life or wanting to commit suicide. So it's something that we need to discuss. 350 million people are suffering from it that we're aware of. We need to be open about it. So today I'm starting a series. I'm starting a series of mental health checkups. And the series over the next 5-7 weeks will be on depression. Now you will determine how long the series goes. And I'm all for it. I'll be here every week discussing different subtopics of depression. Today, I want to start with society, the societal triggers that affect us with depression. A little bit about me. I am a double boarded child and adult psychiatrist here in Texas. My main population is working with children. I'm seeing more and more adults lately. My subspecialty is ADHD and its common comorbidities. What that means is that not only do I manage and help those individuals who live with ADHD, but I also help and manage and treat depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD, Tourette's, kiddos who are, and adults who have autism spectrum disorders. So it's a large gamut of mental health disorders. And I love what I do. I have 2 private practices in Texas, one in the Woodlands, one in Houston. I'm also a ADHD coach, a professional mentor, professional speaker. And this is my forte. I believe that I know I was placed on this earth to help inform and educate those who are dealing with some sort of mental illness. So let's begin our topic of depression and its societal triggers. I also want to acknowledge the people who've checked in with me today. Thanks so much. Angela Watts, Treva Lee, appreciate you. Katharina, thanks so much. Depression is something, if we want to talk about it, we're not going to get all to it. It's already been, 12 minutes into my broadcast. So I don't want to prolong this into an hour discussion. I'm going to probably go to 20-25 minutes today. But we're going to start with the societal triggers. So and before I get to that, I have to discuss what depression is. And before I get to that, let's go ahead and talk about what's the difference between a disorder and having symptoms. Because everyone experiences depression from time to time, but there's a difference between having symptoms and having a disorder. Symptoms are signs and feelings, emotions, physical feelings that we experience from day in and day out. When you consider depression, a depressive symptom could be crying spells, hard to sleep, hard to eat. On the opposite side, people sleep too much, eat too much. They feed their emotions. Sometimes it's associated with anxiety. Sometimes people become so depressed that it can become psychotic, where they start hearing things and seeing things that other people don't hear or see. It can affect your concentration, your ability to pay attention and focus, your motivation, your drive. People tend to move around slower. They tend to procrastinate more, hard to get out of bed. And again, how I mentioned suicide. Suicide can be categorized as being passive or active. Passive meaning that you don't actively want to kill yourself, but you think about being someone else, somewhere else. Identifying a person and admiring their lifestyle and not wanting to be who you are. Active being actively thinking about wanting to kill yourself. And so this is real and this is significant. But the great thing about depression is that it can be treated. Yes, it can be treated. Seriously. And that's why I think we should definitely talk about it, because many people are not aware of that. Studies show us that if you experience depression, that you are at a higher risk of having another depressive episode. Now, in order to have an episode, you have to have a disorder. So I described to you some of the symptoms of depression. But the difference between having symptoms of crying spells and low energy states versus an actual depressive disorder is that disorder means that and this is kind of as simple as I defined it disrupts your functioning. It affects how you function. It's a change. So please remember that, because any of us become depressed. It's natural to feel depressed. It's a part of being human. But a disorder meaning that it changes who we are. So it changes how I sleep, how I eat, who I socialize with versus becoming isolative. If I'm an energetic person and known to be that to many people, and all of a sudden I feel blunted, my emotional bluntedness is apparent. If I'm motivated to go to work and be there on time versus gradually I'm getting late and sometimes I don't even check into work. It's a change in a person's functioning is a disorder. And so you can imagine that with all the mental health disorders that we have, that there are similar symptoms and features of depression, that things that you can see in depression that you may see in ADHD, that you may see in anxiety, that you may see in a psychotic disorder, that you may see in someone who's heavily addicted to alcohol or illicit substances. But I digress, sticking to depression. Depression is something that in society is been stigmatized. And so that's one of the reasons why I like to start with societal triggers of depression. One, I don't see people who are depressed as often because of the stigma. People are afraid to come to the doctor. They're afraid to come to the psychiatrist, per se. And they're afraid to be seen and viewed as being crazy. Now, I don't use the word crazy in my practice. I don't do that. Because everyone has a sense of what crazy is. What I use is what's natural. What's natural and what's not natural. Okay? And so it's not natural to feel sad most days out of the month. It's not natural to not want to get out of bed and not want to go to work so that you can provide a healthy stability for your family. It's not natural to want to isolate yourself from other people. You know, we're created to be societal beings. We're created to engage with other people. Okay? So it's not natural to have those feelings. And it becomes a sense of normalcy for individuals who feel that that's natural for them. So it becomes their norm. It becomes who they are. So I definitely want to clarify that. But there's different triggers that are known in our society. They could be our marriage, our significant other, how relationships are going, and is there stability there? Is that affected by how we communicate? You know, sex, of course, if you're appropriate of age, of course. These are very important features of how a relationship can affect how a person's emotional stability can present. Job, employment, how you're performing. What is your productivity like? What are the expectations on the job? How demanding are they? Are you worth what you're getting paid? Or do you feel that you're worth more? 90%. I saw the statistic this morning because I wanted to make sure I had the right stat. 90% of Americans hate their job. 90. Are you one of those people? So imagine that if we hate our job, which is 50% of where we spend our time, what's the point? Yeah, people go to the job to get a paycheck, but you hate who you work with. You don't appreciate your boss. Your boss disrespects you. The demands of the job, they're given to one person where good and well that job should at least have 3 people on that particular project. So people hate their job for different reasons. So that's another aspect of societal triggers that could create depression. Friends. I talk to many people who are married, and I find it unusual that many friends go down by the wayside. Now, many married couples may say, well, I just have a lot going on, between my job, my kids, my marriage, that sometimes I don't have time for friends. But the thing about friendships is that we need them. They're designed to be there for us. They're designed to have time in our schedule. So all due respect to marriages and your children, it's also important to engage with friends, do hobbies that you enjoy together, golf, bowling, skating, shopping. It's very important that you have that time with friends. Talk about things that girlfriends want to talk about, guy friends, watch the game together, go shopping together for females or men. Friendships are very important, and I find that many of us don't have them. We're not close to people, or we just don't prioritize them in our life. So that could create some stressors if you're giving all that you can to your spouse, but you don't have anything to give to a friend as far as creating and distressing things for you in life. That could also lead to depression. Finances. Our society has struggled with this for many, many years. And the things that are financially worth it anymore, not sure. We live in a society where it's a lot of materialistic things that are important. And a lot of things as far as spending time with family and friends and me time have fallen by the wayside. Not to mention the employment rate and job loss, for example. So finances is a huge stressor for so many individuals. And it's worse. Things are costing more. Houses are depreciating, cars are depreciating. So finances can be definitely a stressor. As it relates to medical health, insurance policies and plans, they're costly for families. Many families can't afford insurance. And if they do afford insurance, you have to meet a high deductible. Or the medications that are prescribed. Yeah, this may be a right medication that you're agreeable to trying, but then your insurance doesn't cover it. So, there's a huge, I'm just speaking on the surface when it comes to finances and trying to connect it to health care. But finances are a huge stressor for those experiencing depression. Anything else? Yeah, there are a lot of stressors that we deal with on a daily basis. Interests. When I ask individuals regardless of what age, what they enjoy doing, the faces light up. For a lot of people, especially in Texas, for example, great weather, they're runners, they like being outdoors, so activity is quite prominent here. And activity as far as exercise and being out in the sun and enjoying the environment is awesome to help with mental health. There's a lot of biological reasons why. Our natural endorphins are released when we're exercising. They're known to make us feel great. We're getting out and exercising with people. So having the engagement, making each other accountable and doing it together, reaching your goal. That also attributes to having good mood states. But you're just clearing your mind. And for many of my runners that I see, they say, yeah, sometimes when you run to a point, you get into a zone. And it's the zone that I appreciate because everything else in my mind is gone. So yeah, exercise is very important. Just as much as eating healthy is just as important as well. These are some of the societal stressors of depression. And many people don't realize that spending time with family, having date night when you're a family of 5 and making sure you pin it in your schedule, not just pencil it in, that's important. Making sure that getting to your job early so that you can take care of things you didn't take care of the day before, or just organizing your structure for the day. That can make a difference. How do you know that you're productive or you're functioning at your optimal level at your employment? Setting parameters for yourself. That's also important as well. But also having the right job. These are some of the things that can attribute to depression. I will talk about the genetics of depression when I talk about the biological stressors or features that contribute to depression as well. But one thing, last thing I want to hit on a societal stressor is our background. We come from different backgrounds, not just cultural backgrounds. That's another feature of depression, or another facet, but how you were raised. Some individuals were raised in 2-parent home where things were healthy. 1-parent home, which was better than 2 because parents were fighting. Raised by grandparents, raised in foster care. And the first 6 years of life are very important. That's where the brain is exponentially growing. And a lot of the circuitry of the brain, the synapse between cells, are made. And part of that is learning and development, executive functioning. Our emotional stability is created. What we feel is safe and what's not safe. All of those things are started early. So it makes a difference in how we are raised. And that also, we bring that into our adulthood and how we function. So that's a huge part of it as well. And knowing that if someone were in a situation where they were, as far as my monologue is concerned, raised in an environment that was very traumatic for them, safety wasn't really supported, abuse occurred, and then as an adult, it's not surprising that they don't trust people, that they isolate people, or they get back into these recurring vicious cycles of being involved with abusive mate. So there's a lot of information that we need to discuss here. And I just wanted to hit on the social triggers of depression today. Family background, employment, friends, interests, school. I had some high schoolers who told me they would check in today, and school is a huge stressor as well. Am I making the grades that my parents want me to make? Is my work reflective of my ability? Is something getting in the way of me doing well at school? Am I being bullied at school because I'm smart or because I look different, I sound different? So there's different things that we can discuss about depression. My mission here is to address your topics, your questions. And I would love for you to post those questions on my page, Dr. Dawn PsychMD. If you feel that the question is confidential, please feel free to send me a personal message. Not a problem. I want to make sure that your questions are addressed. I'm here for you. And my next topic next week will be on the biological manifestations that cause depression. So we'll hit on that, including the genetics, medical medications that could cause depression. Yeah, they're out there. So we'll talk about those things as well. I asked you to complete a test. I posted 3 tests, different lengths, that look at if you're depressed. Now, these are screener tests. These are not used or intended to diagnose a person. So please don't complete that test and feel that you're majorly depressed. However, if those tests conclude that there are some concerns of depressive symptoms there, I encourage you to seek help. And later today, I will have a list of where you can seek help, regardless of where you live. There are a couple of websites that I often recommend, despite where you live, and if you have insurance, or even if you're non-insured. Our goal is to make sure that my goal is to make sure that you understand what depression is, understand that it is treatable, and know where to get help. That's what my mission is. So I know I've kept you long enough today. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to our series. Again, the next topic I'll discuss next Wednesday, same time. All right, I'm looking forward to it. And between now and then, please post your questions. This is new for me. This is very new for me to discuss this openly to face group. I'm usually with a patient or their family. But I'm okay with this. And I'm very excited to be in this position to help anyone that's out there that would like to have help or receive help. That's what my mission is on earth. And I know that together we can accomplish much. So please share this with your family, share this with your friends. And if anyone that you are aware of is at a point of feeling depressed, don't feel that they can go on, or may even express they're suicidal, please encourage them to seek help immediately. Call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room to be evaluated by an emergency doctor. Cordell, I appreciate you checking in. Talmadge, Adam, thanks so much. Donna, love you too, girl. And I look forward to seeing you all next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Dr. Dawn, Psych MD. Please like my page, stay connected. Post your questions. I'm here for you. Till next time, be safe. Have a prosperous and wonderful Christmas with you and your family. Bye-bye.